Good morning. What up, world? Welcome to another jam-packed episode, live stream episode of Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. I'm your Anthony Wright, coming to you from the beautiful and comfortable confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. This live stream episode is going to be talking about the NFL draft, some of the NFL news and notes that I didn't get to cover over the past week. Also going to be talking about the NBA playoffs. Obviously, I hadn't touched on that yet, so I definitely wanted to discuss some of the games, several games from last night, some of the first round games. Just definitely wanted to dive into all of that. And, just any of the odds, bit of news and notes that we didn't get to touch on throughout the week as always. Like I said, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. So, guys, NFL draft day, one of the biggest days of the year. As we already know, the draft is probably the penultimate event. If you're talking about sports, if you're talking about, the hopes and dreams of young men being fulfilled and your roster potentially getting better or grabbing that one great player that could change the fortunes of a franchise. We've all heard the cliche shit and stories. So it's a great day, great opportunity for these young men to, start the next chapter of their lives. As fans, though, one of the things that we definitely anticipate going into the draft, I know I anticipate a lot, is the mock drafts going into the final day or the day of the draft. I did not do any coverage whatsoever of the draft and what I thought of potential trades because, honestly, it's just a lot of frivolous shit. You're really just sitting there just kind of blowing a lot of hot air, talking about projections and potential trades and this. And I didn't really want to do that. I think y'all deserve better. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys see on TV a lot. And a lot of the 3 or 4 letter networks, they do a lot of fucking speculating and shit talking and prognostications about shit that a lot of times doesn't even happen. So, the reality of the situation was I wanted to make sure that I give you guys a great mock draft. A resource point. You could either say, hey, it definitely knows what he's talking about, or this guy clearly doesn't have a fucking clue. Either or, I definitely made a mock draft going into this year's draft. Now, to give you guys a resource point, because I want to make sure that I'm definitely going through this step by step. One of the resource points that I definitely use, and I implore you guys to definitely check it out if you guys are subscribed to it, is Bugler's The Athletic, the Beast from The Athletic, excuse me. One of the best articles out there now. And if you're looking for any type of draft coverage whatsoever, you're concerned about who your teammate, what guy your team may get, or you're concerned or curious about a certain lineman that might play that your team's looking at, or a corner or a safety. Dane Bugler, I give this guy a shitload of credit. He does this every year. Like I said, the Beast article definitely dives into all the draft. It's pretty much a draft guide. Goes over all the different players. Like I said, it goes from 1 all the way to 300. You can bring down the list. But this was ultimately my source material of what I used to make the picks. And as you can see here, it breaks down top 10 overall, quarterbacks, it goes a little bit further into like running backs, other skill position players, things of that nature. So you're getting an idea of what I use to, essentially get a reference point to do my mock draft. So with all that being said, with no further ado, I'm going to go into my draft. I'm going to pull that up for you guys real quick. And it's funny because I swear to you guys, I love this fucking time of year. Strictly because you have no idea what a team is going to grab. You kind of know their needs. You kind of know what they're kind of looking at, what they have more or less a guide or a purview into what they're kind of looking for. However, surprises always happen. I definitely think this year is going to happen. If I have to guess, I would say a minimum of 3 trades in the first round. But my mock draft, being honest, did not take into account any trades whatsoever. So going into it, give me one moment here. Share my screen with you guys. One moment. Hold up. My draft. All right, guys. So as you can see here, full screen. I have Fernando Mendoza going 1. Obviously, is a lot to the Raiders. I think that's pretty fucking self-explanatory. Arvell Reese going to the Jets. I have Sonny Styles going to the Arizona Cardinals. Jeremiah Love joining, helping out Cam what's my man's name? Cam Ward. I'm sorry, drew a blank there for a second. Cam Ward in Tennessee. Got Jeremiah Love going there. David Bailey, beast of the edge rusher, going to the Giants at number 5. Francis Morgoy, Mildly. I'm butchering this man's name, but I got him, a great tackle from Miami, got him going to the Browns. And as you can see here, guys, I got a couple other surprises that you might see, like Mansour Delane going to the Chiefs. We got Cardinal Tate going to the Giants. My biggest surprise here, I would say possibly on the list, is Caleb Bates going to the Dallas Cowboys at 20. KC Concepcion going to the Browns at 24. I definitely think that. And I can see Caden Proctor falling, not because I think he's a bad player, but just because I think some of the pass grades and some of the run block grades on him in comparison to guys like Max Ironanker or some of the other guys out there, I just don't think that it's really going to be much of an argument. And I think that he'll necessarily fall down the list. I even see the Chargers making a move for Omar Cooper Jr. I think wide receiver is definitely a position in need for them. I think that's something that they definitely want to get. And I can also see, too, looking here further at the screen, I can see Dylan Tieneman replacing the great Harrison Smith and becoming the new safety there in Minnesota. So that's my mock draft. I will have that linked for you guys in the description box of the video. Like I said, definitely implore you to check that out. But few surprises, nothing too crazy. I didn't factor in any trades whatsoever into my mock draft. Like I said, I put in just straight up picks, what I thought would happen. But being honest, like I said, I do expect a minimum of like 3 trades to happen in the first round. Who may get traded, who these teams may conduct these trades, I have no idea. That's the pure reason why I did not put any into the mock draft. But like I said, I implore you guys, check out the simulator. Check Pro Football Focus. That's what I use as well. They have a simulator on there. Definitely use that. Check that out. Now we're going a little bit further into some other news that I definitely wanted to touch on. This is kind of breaking this morning. This is from The Athletic. Dealing with Coach Mike Vrabel. Now, you guys already know Mike Vrabel has been dealing with a shitload of speculation. He's been in a clusterfuck, to say the least, over the past 2 weeks with the debacle that's kind of played out with him and Diana Rossini and the whole photos leaking and the New York Post dropping that information and then Rossini and Vrabel lying about, having a committee of friends that they were all with. These friends never showed up. These friends never vouched for him. Not a good look. So obviously we all know last week Diana Rossini had resigned from The Athletic. Shitty situation for her. Obviously no one wanted her to lose her job. But when you have a conflict of interest and your credibility is definitely called into question, it's not a shock that she lost her job. You also take into account, too, a lot of people felt like Mike Vrabel did not really answer well enough or sufficiently enough for this situation, for this scandal. Because keep in mind, as we all know, such a situation, both of them are married, separate people. One's a reporter, obviously, Rossini. Vrabel's a head football coach. The elephant in the room, obviously, the A.J. Brown trade that's been lingering for months, and it just seems like we obviously now know why Diana Rossini had a plug into that situation. I doubt the NFL will really fine them for tampering, which they should, but be that as it may, Mike Vrabel came out yesterday and spoke to the media. It was about 2 days ago now, because it's now Thursday morning. It was about 2 days ago. Came out, got in front of it, spoke to the media, tried to get in front of it at least. Gave a half-assed response, basically stating about how, this has been embarrassing. He's, a leader of a team. I'm paraphrasing all of this, but, he's a leader of a team and they have expectations of the standard and, he's going to come back humble and better from this, all the cliche bullshit. He had 2 weeks to prepare, guys. Just keep that in mind. He had 2 weeks to prepare a statement. And that's what the fuck he came up with. So be that as it may, kind of like I said, it's sort of breaking news this morning from The Athletic. It seems that on day 3 of the draft, Mike Vrabel is going to from the Patriots facility, and he's going to essentially go seek counseling. Patriots Mike Vrabel reports to seek counseling to miss day 3 of the NFL draft. This is being reported by Chad Graff of The Athletic. As we go a little bit further in the article, it says here, New England Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel will seek counseling this weekend and miss day 3 of the NFL draft, which takes place Saturday, a team source confirmed. Now, they claim this news was first reported by ESPN on Wednesday, which Vrabel shared a statement, quote, as I said the other day, I promised my family, this organization, this team, I was going to give them the best version of me that I can possibly give them. In order to do so, I have committed to seeking counseling starting this weekend. This is something that I've given a lot of thought to, and it's something I would advise a player to do if I was counseling them. So again, he's trying to get in front of this. They know that they stepped in shit. Mike Vrabel, again, this whole situation looks bad from obviously their relationship and them meeting up at a hotel, right after the owners' meetings, which is well known. That place in Sedora is known to be a romantic resort. The fact that obviously she's a reporter, he's a head coach, that conflict of interest in that relationship. And then again, I keep reiterating the elephant in the room, the AJ Brown trade. I mean, this is just a rat bastard situation. As an Eagles fan, all I hope is that the Eagles completely rape the Patriots for draft picks if they are going to trade AJ Brown, which it seems like that's the move. Rape them for draft picks. Good luck to AJ. Thanks for helping us win a ring. But honestly, God, truth, yeah, this is bad. This is not good in any way, stretch, or form. But going a bit further, Mike Vrabel states, I've always wanted to lead by example, and I believe this is what I have to do to be the best husband, father, and coach that I possibly can be. This is not an easy thing for me to admit, but it is one that I know will make me a better person. I appreciate the support that everyone has given me and promise a stronger resolve as a result. Obviously, he obviously kind of threw Diana Rossini under the bus too with his comments. It was kind of weird in the beginning that it was well known that they were publicly coordinating together. Obviously, since she's resigned, they haven't. Diana Rossini has taken a shitload of criticism, which rightfully so. But I definitely feel like Mike Vrabel has dodged a bullet. He's not even going to be suspended or, put under suspension for violating conduct detrimental to the league, which I think is just also apocryphal too, because if this had been a player, I doubt that this had really been much of a discussion. So Mike Vrabel dodging more of a bullet. Patriots seem like they're making out like fat rats. They're going to eventually get AJ Brown. Coach is not going to get fired or in trouble or anything. So all's well that ends well, but karma's a bitch. We will see how things play out. And it's a lot easier when no one's expecting you to be anything and you get there. Now being the hunted, we will definitely see how the New England Patriots look going into this 2026-2027 season. And going into some further news, this kind of slipped under my radar, and it was kind of intentional because I kind of wanted to wait to the right moment to discuss this with you guys. I talked about this briefly on a previous episode, but I'm damn sure going to talk about it this morning. The Dallas Cowboys are possibly the most fucking retarded franchise in the history. I won't say in the history because the Cleveland Browns still exist. I would say within the past 30 years, the Dallas Cowboys are probably the most incompetent football team I've seen, general manager wise, front office wise, in NFL history. Needless, we're going to go into an article from NFL.com where it is clearly just, we've kind of known that the Dallas Cowboys, this is a thing that they do every year. They play in people's faces. They play around with people's contracts. Are you going to get paid? Will the guy not get paid? Will they extend them? Will they not extend them? It's an annual song and dance for the Dallas Cowboys. This year's contestant is George Pickens. After a stellar season where he put up 1,900 yards, one of the best seasons ever by a Cowboys receiver, still didn't make the fucking playoffs. Keep that in mind. But nonetheless, George Pickens, prolific season last year. What do they have to show for it? We have here via Nick Shook from NFL.com reporting that the Cowboys will not work on a contract extension with franchise tag wide receiver George Pickens in 2026. Oh, goody. Oh, wow. What a fucking shock. They franchise tag George Pickens. We already know this. I reported this early in the offseason. It's well known. They franchise tagged him, and they kind of let it be known like, yeah, we kind of want to definitely get an extension done. We love George, but it seems like every time the discussion was coming up, there was no movement on if an extension was going to happen. It goes further in the article. It says, a second season with him might be their last. However, Dallas leadership revealed it will not work on a multi-year extension with Pickens ahead of the July 15th deadline to do so, and is content with having the receiver play on the one-year franchise tag. Pickens will earn $27.3 million in 2026 playing on the non-exclusive tag. Again, they rank out the top 10 salaries, top 10 average salaries of the wide receivers, highest paid wide receivers at that position. That's why it comes down to the $27.3 million. Then you have a quote here, and it seems like the quote is from Stephen Jones, We've made a decision that we're going to have George Pickens play under the franchise tag, which won't be a first for us. No shit. So there won't be negotiations on a long-term deal. He goes on further to state, quote, that's certainly not a first for this organization, and it certainly won't be a first in the league in terms of a decision as we move forward. You see how he just keeps reiterating it's not a first, it's not a first, it's the same old song and dance. I think even he's tired of the shit, just to be honest with you. But, he says whether it's Dak Prescott, who played under one, got tagged the second time, whether it's D-Law, DeMarcus Lawrence, obviously we just won a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks, or whether it's running back Tony Pollard, we've certainly had those situations. We're fired up to have George on his football team. Obviously, he's been here for a year. We gave up a third-round pick. Certainly, he's made tremendous progress in the year that he's been here. I think that he'd be the first to tell you that this is a great situation for him, playing with CD and Dak and Coach Schottenheimer's offense. I think he loves Coach Schottenheimer and what he brings to the table, but certainly a conscious decision that we make. I'm just going to say this to you now because they're not, okay? Stephen Jones, if I just had to if I'm sitting down in a bar right now, or fuck, just, it's 9 a.m., Eastern Standard Time. Let's say it's too early to drink. Let's say we're giving them sodium pentothal. And I just sat down in a room and I just asked them, straight up, would you want to extend George Pickens now? I have a feeling that Stephen Jones would probably say yes. I think we know who is the person that's holding up the contract extensions. Might I go further? We know who's holding up the contract extensions because you have a statement here from Jerry early in the offseason, roughly literally close to a month ago, where you have Jerry Jones literally telling George Pickens, hey, man, listen, we don't need to get a deal done. We don't need to talk to your agent. It's just me and you, baby. It's me and you. It's Jerry and George. This motherfucker is a manipulator of the highest order, shrewd businessman, shark, if there has ever been one. And it goes here in the article from Tyler Archer, who's a beat writer for Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones, quote, Pickens and Cowboys long-term plans despite no fresh talks. So you're seeing clearly where this is coming from. He goes a little bit further in the article, and you have a quote here from Jerry Jones. One moment. All of us play under the rules of the collective bargaining agreement, and the collective bargaining agreement clearly anticipates a franchise tag, and that's part of what you sign up for in the NFL when you're playing in the NFL or you're a team in the NFL. And the franchise tag is there for a purpose. It's to benefit the process to go ahead and put your team together. We are availing ourselves of it. Now, he's made these comments last month at the owners' meetings. Let me just say this. This is why they are incompetent and they continue to lose football games. This is why they continue to be inconsistent, inefficient, and don't retain the elite talent that they draft. Need I remind you, I just stated DeMarcus Lawrence, long-term Cowboy, leaves and goes to win the Super Bowl. Need I remind you, Micah Parsons, traded a week before the regular season starts. Monster year. Definitely could have used them. As much as they talked about run defense, they definitely could have used them. Do we all forget, too, has time passed us that much that we forgot DeMarcus Ware, another Cowboy that leaves and goes to win the Super Bowl? This is a thing. This is a thing. So if I'm George Pickens, they can do all that fucking talking about wanting me in the long-term plans or talking about an extension or talking about long-term goals. Here's the real. Put the fucking money on the table. David Mullighetto has put the pressure on Jerry Jones. He made Jerry Jones look like shit in the Micah negotiations. And now what it's boiling down to, plain and simple, is Jerry doesn't want to deal with him. Jerry thinks, as always, he can manipulate the situation and get the player to bend to his will because you're playing for the Cowboys. You're playing for America's team. Newsflash, Jerry, you have fucking sucked for 30 years. That's not doing it for people. You got to put money in the bank. But by him doing this, and I guarantee you this, guys, if they pay George Pickens, they're going to have to get off CeeDee Lamb within the next 2 or 3 years, unless he does a major restructure of his contract. They're not going to be able to retain all these guys and still retool the defense and still retool the offense. It's just not going to happen. It's that P.T. Barnum effect again. He's selling you a bill of goods. Know what you're looking at when you see it. Now, I do have them making a lot of picks this year defensively in the draft. If I remember correctly, looking at my mock draft, I'm going to take a quick gander at it. I have the Cowboys in this draft taking Caleb Banks, interior defensive lineman, and Gerard McCoy at corner. Knowing the Cowboys will probably take an offensive lineman and a defensive player, but I tend to think that the major holes for that team are on defense. That's what they need to address. So we shall see. But Jerry up to his fucking antics again. He's at it again, and he just can't help himself at this point. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. It's up to George Pickens and David Mulligetta to not let that shit happen. Next person we're going to talk about is Aaron Rodgers and the crazy-ass situation that's going on there in Pittsburgh with the will he, won't he situation. Now, it's kind of a weird thing because we all know Aaron Rodgers likes to play this situation out where, hey, I'm coming back, I'm going to be there. Hey, I'm not going to be there. You know, I don't like to stick to a time frame. You know, we've seen this song and dance. He did this in Green Bay. He did this with the Jets. He did this with the Steelers the first year, last year. So this is not anything new. We already know the Steelers need him. They're built to have him back at quarterback. If he's not back at quarterback, they're fucked. They know this. So be that as it may, there's been a lot of speculation throughout the offseason about will he, won't he come back to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers, I think after a while, were taking a beating in the media and decided to leak out some information. You have an article dating back a month ago from the owners' meetings where ESPN got up with head coach Mike McCarthy. And, you know, he says, went through some different things, some different evaluation phases. And it's just a situation where I don't really know. I have no idea. Pardon me 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. It took a little bit to load up. But essentially he stated that you know, Rodgers is in a good place and that, you know, essentially that they think that you and everything's going to be hokey-dory. Okay. That sounds great. Brooke Pryor was the journalist who wrote this article, by the way. I want to make sure she gives her credit. But it says here from the owners' meetings, you have a quote here from Mike McCarthy. He says that he's spoken with the quarterback weekly every couple of days. He added that the conversations have been similar to the conversations they've had over the years, just like they always are. Life, football, what's going on at the facility. He said of the nature of the talk. So he's really engaged with what's going on. I would just say he's in a very positive space. We'll continue to engage in conversations. He kind of let the cat out of the bag there. Obviously, no player who's not thinking of coming back, who's really hell-bent on retirement, is going to be having those type of conversations, like, you know, just being honest. So kind of let the cat out of the bag there. But it says further, while McCarthy didn't add any specifics about Rodgers' timeline, keep that in mind. Keep that caveat in mind. Steelers owner Art Rooney II told the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette he expects a decision from Rodgers before the NFL draft, which kicks off in Pittsburgh on April 23rd, a la today. When I talked to him and general manager Omar Khan, Omar Khan spoke to him, he told us he wasn't going to take as long as he did last year. I'm not 100% sure what that means, but I expect something before the draft. Now, those came out. Most of us did not bat an eye on it. It was a month ago. We kind of knew that it was a month's time before the draft. So let's just see what happens. Let's see how everything plays out. You know, well, Aaron Rodgers did not really take kindly to those comments. The gentle genius was definitely pissed off. And we have now a situation where Aaron Rodgers states, quote, that he is irritated with the Steelers sharing his timeline, and that he ultimately is not happy with how they've been leaking information, which I find hilarious because let's just be honest. If he gave them a solidified timeline and they knew that, would there be any room for speculation? Who the fuck knows, right? But this is Aaron Rodgers, so he continues to do what he does. We go a little bit further. This article is via Sports Illustrated. It goes in a little bit further talking about why exactly, and you know the whole drama and play out with him not announcing his return for this coming season and how everything kind of ended on a mediocre note. But Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk went a bit further, and he made an appearance on 93.7 The Fan yesterday before the NFL draft and gave some insight on the situation to Andrew Pony and Chris Mueller. When asked about his read on the quarterback situation, it relates to Rodgers in 2026. Florio began with some uncertainty. Mike Florio stated, I assume it will in relation to Rodgers signing. Is he truly undecided? Or is this a situation where Aaron strikes me as the type of guy who doesn't go out and say, hey, everybody look at me, talk about me, but he deliberately makes a vacuum. Then we talk about it and he likes it, but then he will complain about it at some point. Obviously what he's doing right now at this moment. Florio then goes on and says he spoke about possible concerns Rodgers had with the team. According to one of Florio's sources, who he lent moderate accuracy to, Rodgers is irritated with how the team has dealt with this year's cycle in terms of possible Rodgers signing. So, obviously, this needless to say, he has not been a fan of, these guys leaking the information. I think that deadline from Art Rooney II was something that kind of pissed him off. Florio's source, insists that Rodgers is irritated that the Steelers talk about him. You got to tiptoe around the delicate genius. That's a term that Florio always uses on his show when describing Aaron Rodgers. And he did it last year. Tomlin did it last year. Now not everyone got the memo. So no more safety guardrails with Aaron Rodgers, obviously from what it seems. Florio then provided what he believes the reason for Aaron Rodgers' actions, positing that Rodgers, as a more private person who understands the pull as he has when it comes to media and attention. So needless to say, Aaron Rodgers is one of those guys where he clearly is a lightning rod figure, commands a lot of attention whenever he speaks. It's kind of got that E.F. Hutton effect, good and bad. People listen. Needless to say, though, this is kind of more or less his own doing. So I'm kind of like lost as to why he's pissed off and irritated. You were given a fucking deadline because you're an employee of an organization. And employees of organizations are given deadlines because you don't run shit. You are a quarterback. Yeah, you have a lot of cachet and sway. Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion. God knows one of the best quarterbacks, obviously, of this past generation. But in all honesty, you made the playoffs and the game ended, and recollection serves me correct, pick 6 to the Houston Texans via your hand. So why you're, hemming and hawing about them releasing information, I have no fucking idea. But needless to say, Aaron Rodgers continues to garner more offseason attention more than he should. He'll provide another mediocre season for you in Pittsburgh. You'll make the playoffs and you'll lose in the first round again. So that's all I got for you guys this morning as far as the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Aaron Rodgers situation. But another thing I definitely wanted to touch on, and shout out to Mr. Hemlock, a guy on YouTube here who inboxed this to me on a short that I did a while ago talking about the Brandon Ayuk situation. If you guys haven't seen that, check that out too on my channel. But 49ers GM John Lynch spoke to the Sporting News last month at the owners' meetings. And if you guys have been following this, it's a huge rumor online about electrical substation being near the 49ers facility and how that's affecting the 49ers, and it's possibly can explain what's going on with this team. Now, needless to say, I would be the first one to tell you, when you're talking about conspiracy theories, I'm a sucker for them. I'm not going to lie to you. Good ones, of course. I'm not going to sit there and just, believe anything. I mean, we can all spin any type of fucking narrative that we want. However, this thing had legs. When it was sent to me, I did a little investigating on it myself. I was kind of thrown off by how, it might have had some validity to it. But that being said, GM John Lynch commented on it at the owners' meetings. He shuts down the whole electrical substation injury theory, called it a big nothing burger. He went a little bit further in the article and stated, that he knows about the social media talks. He knows that a lot of this has come into a theory and that there's been a lot of conspiracy and conjecture about this. However, he did tell that he hired an independent scientist, that the 49ers hired an independent scientist to examine a possible link between the substation and the higher injury rates, but said the findings revealed it was a big nothing burger. So obviously they thought it was something to it too. That's why they researched it. He says, we're in a safe place of work. It's a normal place of work. It's a normal gym. We are safe, we're healthy, and we really feel good about that. While many were quick to debunk the possibility of a connection when the theory first went viral in January, Lynch said he wanted to confirm there was no elevated risk for the sake of the players and his staff. So, guys, this goes into the old adage, don't automatically assume every conspiracy theory is bullshit. Every conspiracy theory is baked in some relevant or some remnant of truth. He went a little bit further and said, this was important to us, not just to turn a blind eye, but to look into it because it's our players' wellness. It's not only our players' wellness, it's our coaches, it's our staff, all of that. And it's encouraging. According to Lynch, the scientists used lab-grade equipment to determine that the substation was 400 times below the kind of electromagnetic output that would be required to call the area around Levi Stadium an unsafe work environment. The scientists also found that the electromagnetic output was no different than that what a person would experience in an ordinary gym. So you can continue to read in that article. Like I said, I have it in the description box of the video. That's from thesportingnews.com. Craziness, nonetheless. I'm not going to lie. I thought there was some relevance and some truth to it, strictly because I know a little bit about electromagnetic currents and how they can affect the human body and how they can affect people. So good thing that the 49ers investigated it, looked into it. I think that right now you're in a situation where in this day and age, being that we know the veil has been lifted and there's a lot of things out there that we've been just naturally lied to and led astray on. I think it's cool that we're finally getting some truth on some things, and that, hey, you know what? Guys are like, fuck it. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to sit there and do the investigation and check into some shit, and to be sure that guys aren't going out there and getting damaged. I mean, you're spending millions of dollars on these players. That facility is millions of dollars. So could you imagine had the investigation proved that there had been some correlation to the injuries? I mean, my God, you would have had people up in fucking arms and just bitching a fit. But needless to say, nothing came of it. So now we're coming up to the second half of the show. I definitely want to make sure you guys, if you guys haven't already known, or if you do know, definitely check out some of our friends of the show, StubHub and Viagogo, the number 1 and number 2 leading ticket resellers in the world to live event shows and concerts. Plethora of events right now. World Cup tickets definitely on sale. Definitely check that out. Cardi B's definitely still on tour. Like I said, a couple people I know that got some tickets from Coachella through the link definitely reached out to me. Appreciate you guys. Definitely check it out. Also, Malware Bytes, if you're looking to protect your software, whether your home PC, tablet, computer, whatever it may be, Malware Bytes, they got a huge discount for new users that are signing up to the platform. Also, for my avid gamers out there, if you're big into PlayStation, you want to make sure that you're enhancing your PlayStation experience, definitely check out PlayStation Direct. The link will be in the description box of this video. Also, NFL Game Pass and DAZN links are in the description box of this video as well. So if you're definitely looking to enhance your entertainment experience, NFL, boxing, whether it's getting out and traveling, definitely check out the Blunt Talk Sports podcast and the affiliate programs we have. There's a list and a plethora of things for you to get into to enjoy your summer and spring. And to make the most of your, time in these crazy times, especially when you got war afoot, oil prices going to fuck up, people stressed out. Just definitely something to kind of take your mind off, the malaise of, and monotony of life and the chaos that it fucking brings at times. Now we're going to touch on the NBA. This is something I definitely wanted to wait on. Now I have an episode later on coming out this weekend talking about my top 10 things from the NBA season that I liked and didn't like. Definitely hope you guys check out that episode. But we're going to go into the games. We're going to start from Sunday and go all the way up until today, being the 23rd. I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to say this now. The first round of NBA playoffs have fucking sucked. And I finally got it out. I have no shame in saying it. The first round of the NBA playoffs fucking sucked. Fucking sucked. I definitely have not been impressed. I think that it has become a situation where the NBA kind of knew going into these matchups, all right, we got some injuries. We got teams that clearly are not really going to be prepared, or not going to really be afoot or ready to attack the day or attack, these teams that they're playing against, a lot of Sixers without Embiid playing the Celtics, the Rockets playing the Lakers. It's just been shitty basketball. I mean, outside of the Pistons Magic series, and the Hawks and Knicks, it's really been a situation. And I'll be honest, I've been bored. It's really bad. I mean, I don't know what the NBA is going to do, but I will admit the games the past couple of nights have been a lot better. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. Got life going on. Sorry about that. But the NBA has just been completely a shit show this year. So going into some of the games, I'm going to share my screen. A lot of these, some of these games will be coming from NBA.com, the stats and information I'll be giving to you. In 1 moment. So Sixers game 1 getting blown out by the Celtics. Celtics were commanding in that game. Thunder blew out the Suns. You had the Magic, Magic and Pistons going into a good game. Blazers and Spurs going into a good game. Game 2, obviously, you had a tricky situation with Wembanyama getting that concussion. That definitely was bad. You got the Cavs going up 2-0 on the Raptors. Nuggets and Timberwolves, that series. That is a series I've been definitely wanting to talk about and discuss with you guys. I honestly feel like the Nuggets and Timberwolves series, that will decide the Western Conference. And that's just my honest opinion. I truly feel like whoever wins the Nuggets and Timberwolves series will decide the fate of the Western Conference, because that series has just been fucking electric. Watching Ant-Man and Jokic go at it is just amazing basketball. Both of those teams are well-coached teams. Adelman Jr., Chris Finch, Nuggets, Timberwolves, respectively, well-coached teams. They play tenacious basketball, good defense when they lock in. I like watching those two teams play. Needless to say, though, that's just my honest opinion. It's going to come down to one of those teams to win the West. But then you had some bounce-back games Tuesday. You had the Sixers rebounding in Boston and getting a crucial win. Maxey stepping up and being the player that we expect him to be. VJ Edgecombe, the soon-to-be Paul George replacement, definitely taking the mantle and stepping up. Also, Blazers were able to get a sneak victory against the Spurs, obviously with Wembanyama getting that concussion. You just kind of feel like once Wembanyama comes back in that series is going to be over. But he is definitely the difference for the San Antonio Spurs in that series. And obviously, like I said, the Lakers are up 2-0 on the Rockets. It's just, like I said, it hasn't really been that great of basketball. Spurs, Blazers has been good. Knicks and Hawks have been good. Their second Sixers Celtics game was good. But, I mean, it's just been very inconsistent as far as the first round of the playoffs. I've definitely been disappointed. I'm just hoping now for better results. Now, last night, you did have a better game with the Thunder and Suns. But, again, situation where Thunder are, kind of in the game. I mean, Suns are in the game. They're playing a good game against them. Booker starts getting in foul trouble. It starts becoming a situation where, Dylan Brooks is getting in foul trouble. And the Thunder, we all know, call SGA a foul merchant, call them all foul merchants, call them whatever you want. They get to the fucking free throw line and they make plays. And at the end of the day, they're just a better team. And Phoenix got to the playoffs, and we got to give Phoenix credit. But in all honesty, they're going against the Oklahoma City team. If Phoenix wins one game in this series, it'd be a blessing. Honest to God, true. So, needless to say, shout out to Phoenix for getting there, but the Thunder are just too much for them. And as we look into tonight's game, obviously we got a nice little lineup. We got Knicks and Hawks at 7 p.m. You have Cavaliers and Raptors at 8 p.m. And then you got Nuggets and Wolves at 9:30. Like I said, I'm not a betting man, but if I had to take a quick game, they're looking at these games. I got the Hawks winning tonight, surprisingly. I think the Raptors are able to steal a game tonight. If they don't win tonight, the series is over. I think they steal a game tonight, and I think that the Nuggets bounce back tonight and have a better game. I think Jamal Murray, and that's another player I definitely want to touch on too. Jamal Murray has been, to me, a very inconsistent player now for the past 2 years. He's one of Denver's most clutch players, understandably so. He definitely has made a lot of great plays for the Denver Nuggets. But I think it goes without saying, when you are that fucking inconsistent late in games, whether it was the Olympic tournament for Team Canada, whether it was last year in the postseason, whether it was this year, he just has those games, late in games, where he just goes completely fucking cold. And that can be the difference in this series against Minnesota. So Jamal Murray definitely has to step up. Nikola Jokic is carrying a lot of weight, as he usually does, but amazing to see. Like I said, I think that series again will definitely decide the fate of the Western Conference, and things to go forward. So that's going to do it for this live stream episode, guys. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Definitely check out the NFL draft tonight. I believe the draft starts. I want to give you accurate information. See what time the draft starts tonight, guys. One moment. I want to say it starts at 8 p.m. Let's see. Pull up that information for you. Yes, the draft starts tonight at 8 p.m. So definitely make sure you guys are plugged into that. Also, too, like I said, the basketball games tonight. Definitely make sure you check that out. I love you guys for always plugging in. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday and stay safe out there.